Shall I start reading? Jason,
Yep, I'm all set.
is Gary here? Lather? Oh,
Yes,
there he is.
I'm here.
Yeah,
Gary's
he's
here.
here.
Okay. I'm gonna take my glasses off. To conduct this meeting wholly electronically to effectuate the vote, the emergency procedure authorized by FOIA and the emergency ordinance, the Fairfax County Athletic Council needs to make certain findings and determination for the record. It's a bit cumbersome, so I ask in advance for your patience. First, because each member of the Fairfax County Athletic Council is participating in this meeting from a separate location, we must verify that a quorum of member is participating, that each member's voice is clear, audible, and appropriate volume for all the other members. Accordingly, I'm going to conduct a roll call and ask each member participating in this meeting to state their name and the location from which they're participating. I ask that each of you pay close attention to ensure that you can hear each of your colleagues. Following this roll call, we will vote to establish that every member can hear every other member. Jason?
Good evening, everybody. Braddock District, Marsha Pape Daniels.
Good evening. This is Marcia Pape, and I'm participating from my office in the Braddock District.
Thanks, Marsha. Braddock alternate, Marco Mira.
I am here, Universal Ball Theaters, also in the Braddock District.
Thanks, Mark. Drainsville District, Greg Beckwith.
I'm here from my home in Great Falls, Virginia, within the Drainsville District.
Thanks, Greg. Drainsville alternate, Brian Lewis. Hunter Mill District, Jeremy Lee. Or alternate, Harold Le. Franconia District, Lisa Mickey. Or alternate, Bill Bright. He said he might be a little late this evening. Mason District, Barbara Lowry.
Oop, you're on mute.
Looks like you're on mute, Barbara. Oh, there you go.
Am I now off of mute?
Yep.
Okay, I am in Mason District in my home.
Great. Thanks, Barbara. Mount Vernon District, Lester Munson. Or alternate, Bob Kirk.
Bob Kirk is here from my home in the Mount Vernon District.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. Providence District, Kelly Aguilaswala. Springfield District, Mike Thompson.
Mike Thompson from my office in Alexandria.
Thanks, Mike. Springfield alternate, Mark Heilbrun. Sully District, Gary Flather.
You're here from my home in the Sully District.
Thanks, Gary. Sully alternate, Mark Abbott.
I am here from Chantilly.
Thanks, Mark. Diversity at large, Mark Fernandez. Or alternate, Eric Sohn.
Yeah, Eric here at my office in Chantilly, Virginia.
Awesome. Thanks, Eric. Member at large, Catherine Quinn.
How's that for timing? Catherine is here from my home office in Reston.
Thanks, Catherine. Member at large alternate, Anne-Marie Swope.
I'm here, my home in Reston.
Thanks, Anne-Marie. Town of Clifton, Jeff Stein. Town of Herndon, Roland Taylor. Town of Vienna, Tom Hansen.
I'm here at my home in Vienna.
Thanks, Tom. Baseball Council, Rob Honey.
I'm here from Mark Miana's office in Vienna. No, I'm kidding. I'm in Kauai.
Thanks, Rob. Basketball Council, Steve Bergstrom. Or alternate, Stu Clark. Fast pitch softball, Susie Williamson.
I'm here in Springfield, Virginia. Wish I was with Rob. Awesome view.
Thanks, Susie. Fast pitch alternate, Ryan Buchanan. Football Council, Mark Miena.
I'm here in Vienna, Virginia, at my home in the Providence District.
Thanks, Mark. Football alternate, Ted Hollingsworth.
I'm here from Oakton.
Thanks, Ted. Lacrosse Council, Marianne Wagner. Or alternate, Dave Paddock. Slow pitch softball, Christine Iddip. Soccer Council, Lula Bauer.
I'm here at my home in Alexandria.
Thanks, Lula. Soccer alternate, Trish Moxie.
I'm here in my home in Springfield.
Thanks, Trish. Volleyball Council, Rob Bailey. And alternate, Anne-Marie Swope still here. Women's sports programs, Jenny Cantwell. or alternate Hillary Richardson.
Yes, Hillary's here, calling from her home office in Reston.
Thanks, Hillary. Fairfax County Park Authority, Mike Thompson still here, and I see Dan Sutherland.
Dan Sutherland from my home in Bristow, Virginia.
Thanks, Dan. Fairfax County School Board, Dr. Ricardi Anderson. Bill Curran.
I'm here from Fairfax, Virginia. Dr. Anderson sends her regrets.
No worries. FCPS Community Use, Vicki Gardner.
Yeah, I'm here from Burke, Virginia.
Thanks. And Paul Hatcher.
Here from Centerville.
And Neighborhood Community Services, Lloyd Tucker.
Here from Accokeek, Maryland.
Thanks, Lloyd. Keisha Dodson. Karen Yavisado.
I'm here from my home in Leesburg.
Thanks. And Mark Martino.
I am here from my home.
Hey,
Hey, Jason?
Yep.
Jason, it's Mark Miana. Did I hear that there was a representative for Providence District?
There's an alternate for right now.
Okay, so there's still a vacancy for the main seat.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's it, Lula. We have a quorum.
Perfect. Okay, at this point, I will pass the virtual gavel to the Vice Chair, Gary, so that I may be heard to make the requisite motion. I move that each member's voice may be adequately heard by each other member of the Fairfax County Athletic Council.
Is there a second? Somebody want to second that?
Yeah.
I
Second.
second
Sure,
that.
Mike
Barbara, Barbara Lowry, I'm seconding.
Okay.
I have too many.
Yeah, got it. Thank you. Any objections? The motion's approved.
Perfect. Second, having established that each other's voice may be heard by each other member, we must next establish the nature of the emergency that compels these emergency procedures. The fact that we are meeting electronically, what type of electronic communication is being used, and how we arrange for public access to this meeting. Therefore, I move that the state of emergency caused by the COVID-19 pandemic makes it unsafe for the Fairfax County Athletic Council to physically assemble and unsafe for the public to physically attend for such a meeting, and that as such, FOIA's usual procedure, which required the physical assembly of the Fairfax County Athletic Council and the physical presence of the public, cannot be implemented safely or practically. I further move that the Fairfax County Athletic Council may conduct this meeting electronically via Microsoft Teams, and that the public may access this meeting by calling 571-429-5982, conference ID 607-687-203#. Is it so moved?
So moved. Seconded, whatever. Are there any objections? Motion carries.
Finally, it is the next requirement that all the members addressed on today's agenda must address the emergency itself, or necessary for continuity in Fairfax County government and or statutorily required, or necessary to continue operations in the discharge of the Fairfax County Athletic Council lawful purposes, duties, and responsibilities. Is it so moved?
Seconded. Any objections? Motion's approved.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and Happy New Year. Are there any citizens that would like to speak to address the council? Jason, do you know of any?
I'm not aware of any, Lula.
No? Okay. Next, we have a presentation for the APRT. Susie?
Yes, super excited to be able to share what the committee has come up with. A PowerPoint was created, and Jason will put that up there, and I'll go over it a little bit. Hopefully the echo's not too bad.
It's a little bit.
Okay, so self-explanatory. Before we get going, though, I really need to give out some tremendous shout outs. Everybody you'll see on the committee did a lot of work, but I really have to give a special nod to Rob and his support with the baseball community. A lot of the things that we feel are going to be able to move forward would not have happened without the baseball community support. And Lori Barb and Karen Navasato did a tremendous job with the heavy lifting. Jason in there too, as far as the data that was able to be brought together. There was just a lot of information, and then able to go and distill it into the format that will be presented to the Board of Supervisors and just the general public. Just real briefly, and as the slides will show, that back in '97, and you can go ahead and I'll say next. So thanks, Jason. So that was the plan, and you can see a lot of heavy hitters. The agenda, so we'll talk about background achievements. Again, I don't need to read that for you, but that's kind of like a little bit of the template of what the PowerPoint covers. So that's great. So thanks, Jason. 1997 was when a lot of the inequities came to light. There was a group that was very vocal and I would say relentless in making sure things were done correctly. Some of you people around now remember back then. And then through their efforts, 2007, the APRT, the initial report, actually was put out. And with the findings that there was inequities, put a lot of plans and things in place. Again, kind of a little bit on that background slide. Okay, you can go ahead, Jason. Okay, and so again, some of the achievements from that initial APRT report, again, really started getting the equity between the boys and the girls. So it was a super job with that. Okay, go ahead. Okay, and then that brought us to what happened. Again, I know a lot of you are aware because that was part of previous conversations with the Athletic Council. And I have to again say thank you for your support back when things really started coming to light. Without the Athletic Council support, it probably would have taken longer for us to get the committee put together and put forth with the Board of Supervisors giving their approval back in June. So Jeff McKay again was very responsive to the messages, emails that were sent back in May. So June, we got the official thumbs up, and then the committee started actually coming together in August. So, so that's a little bit of the current state and the background of what's happening. Again, you'll be able to see some of the findings and the outstanding issues. Again, a lot of it was data driven and just wasn't what we thought. We actually were able to see it on paper with the disparities. And again, another shout out to Rob for the baseball support. So, and all this, again, I'm not going to go ahead and read it, but if you just take a quick glance, you can see some of the data. And it's all there available for anybody to view as well. It's pretty compelling. Okay, Jason, thanks. And then the goals, and a lot of these are from the initial report back in 2007 to try to get the fields up to where they should be with the different levels. Okay, Jason, you can go to the next one. Again, in some of the goals of the committee. And the last one on the goals, and you don't need to go back with the communication. What I'm really, a big thing that, in my opinion, that came out of just the softball portion is really having the different stakeholders, the park authority, the schools, and NCS really coming together. So there's going to be communication, much better communication, and that should impact all sports. So I don't really know how much of a system there was in place, but that was one of the things that was really discovered that I'm really happy is going to be out there now, be very mindful moving forward. That should help with all sports. But I'm going to get a little more specific with the recommendations because those actually we will be voting on, and hopefully we'll get your support, and Lula will have an official vote on that. So number one, allocate the funding for the development of synthetic turf fields at Wakefield Park or another equivalent location. improve fields and related infrastructure for the 6 fields at Wakefield Park, including but not limited to adding fencing to the fields, renovate pitching stations, improve turf conditions, address drainage, replace lightning, improve the pitcher's mounds, renovate supporting amenities, parking lot, picnic tables, scoreboards, and the estimated cost for that is about $1,700,000. Provide FCPA with funding for staff to maintain the fields, but not limited to installing and removing temporary fencing on the weekends at Wakefield Park. Estimated cost around $300,000. Second recommendation is work with the Park Authority and NCS to identify unutilized level 2 diamond fields in the Park Authority inventory and determine if they can be upgraded to level 1. Utilize a field allocation policy to make changes to ensure equitable distribution of Park Authority and school field. Develop a communication plan between the Park Authority, School Athletic Council, and NCS to ensure all stakeholders are well informed about future capital improvements. Again, I'm excited about that, and that should help all sports. All right, we can go to the next one, Mr. J. Review the allocation of turf space to include girls' ability to receive additional space until inventory is increased and or developed. Work with all stakeholders to identify and develop locations for new facilities to maintain equity between fast pitch softball and baseball. Utilize the fields at Wakefield Park for only girls fast pitch softball. This would involve identifying underdeveloped or underused diamond fields in Fairfax County for adult leagues who currently play at Wakefield Park. And apply the inclusive engagement model when determining locations of all future development to ensure equitable access includes gender as well as racial and social equity considerations. So those are the 8 recommendations. The report that will be sent to the Board of Supervisors for review and then their financial consideration. NCS, again, will identify immediate opportunities for the field access. And then there will be long-term plans as well. And then the committee continues to meet to address the recommendations. I'm really super happy to also say that some of the recommendations and thoughts moving forward have already taken place. Patriot Park, one of the fields, will be allocated for girls softball practice during the week. And Braddock Park, and shout out to adults and Christine, they're partnering with the youth softball organizations to allow tournaments being played there, since a lot of those stuff, again, kind of brought us to this moment. So, but again, a lot of hard work by individuals. And again, I got a special nod to Rob, and Lori, Barb, Karen, and Jason for doing just tremendous heavy lifting. And again, I can't thank you all for your support way back when some of these things were coming to light. So any questions, concerns?
So I think we need to, if Rob or Lula, since they were on the committee, maybe they can share a couple words with, you know, their experience as well.
I'm happy to jump in. So it's obviously easy to work well with Susie and the softball community. I mean, we're all here together, right? Not just Diamond Sports, but Rectangular Sports, Gym, you know, so we did our best to work with Susie and the APRT committee to identify all of this, but the baseball community is 100% in support of obviously making everything equitable in terms of fields and access and things like that. This, if you all remember correctly, this started with the loss of fields at Falls Church High School, the tournament complex there. I believe there was a loss at Madison High School as well. There's some overlays at South Lakes and just a number of different areas that Susie has talked to us in the past about. And when there's opportunities for, in this case, baseball to help softball, it was absolutely a no-brainer. And we are in full support of all these recommendations. And it just, to me, it's exciting to see how well we're all able to work together to solve problems and come up with solutions. But we are 100% support of all those recommendations.
Absolutely. You know, I'm going to go ahead. Gary, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Kudos, Susie, for job well done for you and the team. I'm in support of everything that you've done. I was curious, there was one slide where there was a comment made that I think it said the improvement to Wakefield Park or other suitable location or something to that effect. Does the committee or NCS or any FCPA have alternative solutions for you, or are they just in case you can't do Wakefield Park? Thanks.
I would say right now, short term is making some improvements at Wakefield Park. It's a bit of a complicated thing and a bunch of moving parts and trying to take care of the adults and, you know, other individuals. So that's kind of a short term type thing. And then with long term, it'd be great having another complex, whether adults get put there. So a lot of been moving things, but it's a lot of people cooperating and working together in the short term with having like some long-term visions, even if it's at a different location. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, Gary, I could jump in on that too.
Yeah.
I think part of it is, you know, if fast pitch, if the girls ultimately, if we're ultimately successful in the goal of making Wakefield Park a fast pitch facility, then it's really about identifying, again, unused space or redeveloping current space to accommodate the adults that were at Wakefield, you know, a large portion of the time. So I think that is the slide you were referencing. And, you know, that, you know, because there's land at some of these park sites that's undeveloped and things like that where we could potentially move the adult community to. Karen, is that accurate, Lula?
Yes, that's accurate.
Yes, that answered my question. Thanks, guys.
And we won't, nothing will happen. No, the adults will not be moved out of Wakefield until alternate locations are found to replace their use.
Mike, you have your hand up? Or Marcia? I'm sorry, Marcia had her hand up.
Yes,
And my question,
before I did.
my question's actually related to that. For Wakefield Park, are you, one of the recommendations was to develop turf fields. Is that developing additional fields or turfing and redeveloping the fields that are already there? Oh, and by the way, congratulations on all the work, and I do support it.
It would be turfing and all the existing fields.
Okay.
The six fields. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mike, do you have your hand up?
Yes, ma'am. Couple quick things. First, when you're thinking through the recommendations in terms of Wakefield Park, and I apologize because the list of who was on it went by so quickly. So I guess my first question is, was Park Authority staff on the committee?
Yeah, Sarah Baldwin.
Okay, one of the things that I think we need to look at to make sure we don't run into trouble with is as they look to renovate what will be a very significant renovation to Audrey Moore, that's thought through in terms of timing so that it doesn't interfere with or has as little interference as possible with the softball fields, and that it doesn't, as has happened, and Karen, you've heard my story from a million years ago when we did the renovation at White Oaks, only to have them then come in and destroy all the renovation that we did. I would hate to see something like that happen. So I would put a pin in the fact that as that process moves forward with Audrey Moore, that planning around that should be hand in glove and kept tight hold on. My second question really is about the budget. What was the budget that you showed?
It was 1.7 for the improvements at Wakefield Park, and then an extra 300,000 for staffing, the
So-
facility.
So do I understand correctly that we're saying it's 1.7 to turf all 6 fields?
No,
No,
the
okay.
turfing will be, we're not there yet, Mike. That would be like phase 3 or whatever. This is right now just
Okay.
to improve the existing ones, replace the fencing, netting, and Dan Sutherland, I think, is on here. He's been in lock sync with this as well with Sarah Baldwin, and he'll probably be the one managing all this, so he would be able to answer the questions better than I.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that actually, that's my big question was, I didn't understand how we were gonna get 6 turf fields for 1.7 million.
No,
So
we'll be
I-
asking
that-
for
that
6
actually-
million.
Some
That'll be the
creative
next-
financing, Mike. That's what it's all about. But no, that is strictly, as Karen said, it is strictly trying to improve what's already there in anticipation that turf may be several years out or a few years out, depending on success with that. So we're just trying to improve the existing conditions as much as we can, and we'll actually try to make it so it's cleanly can be converted over to synthetic turf. So we'll keep as much of it in improvements that would be in line with those future improvements as well.
Awesome, thanks. Those are all my questions, thank you.
No other hands are up. So with that said, I would like to make a motion that we support all the recommendations by the APRT committee. Is there
It's seconded.
Second, thank you so much. Is there any discussions? Would anybody like,
I
look
would
at
just-
Susie smiling, grinning ear to
I
ear.
would add one more baseball thirds it. I know that's not an option. I would just add one more time that to me this is a no-brainer vote, and again, tremendous work by NCS, Park Authority, school system, and everybody involved in the committee to make this become a reality in a fairly quick fashion as well. So great work, everybody, and hope that we get everybody on here support. I think a unanimous vote is pretty powerful. I'll leave with that.
Thank you so much. So we're ready to vote. Are there any objections? The motion is moved. So moved. Congratulations, Susie. I really, really enjoyed being on this committee. I learned an awful, awful lot. And what those players had to go through to set up their field so they can play the game they love was atrocious. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. It really means a lot. And, I'll have a little bit more when we do our fast council updates, but the community's very thankful. So thank you.
Very good. Again, so moved. Congratulations. Administrative items. Everybody got a copy of the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve, this is Gary.
Second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Any objections? So moved. The chairman report, I just have an update as far as the chairman report. So last meeting, we voted to adopt the Virginia FOIA requirements for virtual meetings. Where we are right now, first, number one, they have not lifted the state of emergency. Number two, during the holidays, we could not get a meeting with the county exec. We are getting a meeting with him. And then I have been told that once they do lift the state of emergency, we will have 3 months to get ourselves in order. So that's where we are there. Are there any questions? If not, we're going to move right along to the committee reports. Communication with the Fairfax County partners, community users. Gary?
All right, thanks, Lula. So I wanted to share with everyone that and thank Karen, hold a meeting together with some of the committee members. Earlier this afternoon, we were able to get together with Vicki and Paul Hatcher and several of us, including Lula, myself, Rob was on there, Mark Abbott was on there. And Karen and I believe, Mark Martino. If I missed anybody, apologies. But basically, I had a very good meeting to discuss, as you guys remember, several months ago. My goodness, it might have been 5 months ago that I introduced a letter for Lula's signature to go to the school board, and there was a lot of conversation, concerns about basically just to generalize, there was not enough specific information. The requests that we were making going to the Board of Supervisors.
We lost you, Gary. You're frozen.
Able to still hear me?
Yes, you were frozen there for a while. We lost you at letter to go to the Board of Supervisors.
Are y'all able to hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, somehow or another, I got disconnected. At any rate, I took to heart all the comments and concerns. I went back to the drawing board and redrafted the letter to go to the school board with a copy going to the Board of Supervisors. Lloyd Tucker has graciously accepted the responsibility to review that letter for us, and once approved, he will take that to the Board of Supervisors. I'm going to speak. Lloyd, you can help me here, but I'm assuming once you get a review of that draft and we wordsmith it with your improvements, I'll be able to share that with the Athletic Council before we take it. Do I have that correct?
Yes, sir. After, I think we're setting something up for next week for us to talk through it and meet. Yep.
Okay. So I will share that draft with everybody. I will say that basically we in the draft, we praised Vicky and Paul Hatcher for their efforts on a couple of the items that were of concern, which are the improved communication between community use staff and NCS staff. We have seen a very promising improvement in that communication effort. Also, thank you to the Park Authority, who has been providing us in these monthly meetings with updates on construction projects. That was one of the concerns we have. We still have not seen it from the public school side, which we are still working on. But the third really big issue is that's remaining, that has not been corrected, are the late cancellations that we received after permits are issued. And that's probably, to me, the single biggest issue that we've been fighting for over 5 years with this committee.
Ella, shut up.
With this committee getting together to focus on that as well as some other issues. But we came to an agreement. Paul and Vicky agreed that this is beyond the community use office's ability to fix this problem. The problem lies with the individual schools and the principals being held accountable to enter their blackout dates for events by certain dates that go into the system that NCS can review. And then before they issue permits, those blackouts are supposed to be on there. And we received, I requested data on the number of cancellations for this past fall. And in Fairfax County, there were over 1,600 cancellations that, for the most part, the majority of those cancellations were not emergency use type things like weather related. Some of them were, but most of them are items like PTA meetings, back to school nights, election day activities, things like that, that the school knows in the middle of the summer. They know what the dates are. They know when these events are going to occur, but yet we continue to see those late cancellations. So The letter was drafted to be more specific in the request. And like I said, Karen and Lloyd are going to take a look at it, the draft. Once they review it, as Lloyd said, Lula and I will have a meeting next week with them to review the draft. I will share the draft with the council via Jason before we take that to the Board of Supervisors. But basically, the letter requests an MOU be drafted so that any time a school, quote unquote, forgets to put something in the system by the designated date, before they can just yank the school from the community user, there's got to be an MOU that is drafted to say how that action will take place. As far as I'm concerned, and I'm going to paraphrase what Megan McLaughlin said, if the school doesn't get their dates in the system by the deadline and they come back to us with a need that they have, they should pay a penalty, because it's costing us, the users, it's costing us money for officials that are scheduled, and we have to pay them because of short notice cancellations. So we're looking for an MOU that can resolve that, where they have to communicate and we have to work together to find a reasonable solution to the problem and force them to do their jobs. So I think it's positive stuff. There's, we created this subcommittee in September of 21. So it's been a year and a half now. We've seen some improvements, as I noted, but the late cancellations after permits are issued is a very, very much a sticking point. I think our committee still has several issues, including things like green days and things like that Rob has spoken at length about for that reference the high schools. So we still have work to do, but I think this late cancellation issue is of the most important precedents that we have here. Open to take any comments or questions, but that's basically my report for the day.
Nobody's hands raised, no questions. Thank you for that report, Gary. Great stuff. We'll move right along. Committee reports, Stephen A. McLaughlin, Fairfax County Champion of Characters.
Yeah, just want to make sure everybody has the date. It will be, it's October 17th of this year. We will be sending out, we met with our kind of communications team this week, and we're putting together a save the date that's going to be sent out. The biggest thing for us right now is so for you all to go to your groups and really encourage nominations to be sent in. That really is the biggest thing. Even when we talk to our communications team that have done other things, it always seems to come in late. And we have fall participants that have ended their season already. So we know that there are tremendous character athletes, tremendous character coaches, tremendous character parents that were in the fall. So those nominations should be filled in and sent to us right now. Because we do have a review committee that will go over all the nominations. All the nominations are due August 1, which gives us time then to review them, get them set, get the awards done. It will be it will not be a virtual, it will be in person. It will be at the government center. We've even reserved the boardroom. So it's going to be a little closer knit thing where we don't have the sound of the atrium. When people leave, if they walk out, they won't be hearing talking. So I think it's really going to be a great event. But the biggest thing right now that we can do is get nominations in. If you can encourage your coaches, your parents through your organizations to get nominations in, it's on our website. Everything is live. The save the date should have, Jason, I can't remember, does the save the date have the link on it also?
Yeah, I believe it has the online submission link. Yep.
Yes, perfect. So when that save the date goes out, which we're hoping will be very soon, it will have that link on it. But that's the biggest thing right now. So more to follow, but we have a date. I know, Mark, I think I gave that date to you a while back, so hopefully that will work out. And we'll get together as we progress forward on that.
Yeah, I have a question on it.
Mhm.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's a point of clarification. Since it's October 17th and the cutoff is August 1st, I would assume the assumption is made that this past fall, those sports, it's players and coaches and volunteers from that season, this one that just passed, are the ones that are to be considered for the October 17th, 2023. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Which means everybody has to reach back right now before it washes out.
Right. Right. And that, yeah. And we've sent it out so we've given general notices, but really, as anything, when we send out a general notice, you don't know how many people read it, how many, they look at it and go, okay, I'll get to that. That's why I'm really pushing, just like you are, Mark, right now. Let's reach back like you to the football leagues and go back to them, and to, field hockey and those sports that were in the fall, and soccer and all of that, and go back to them. But yeah, you're exactly correct.
Well, once the timetable is back on track, hopefully it takes care of itself. But the emphasis has got to be for everybody that leads a geographical area here on the council to reach back to the fall sports. Otherwise, you're going to have a significant drop of participation in this.
Right.
Or not, not a drop, but just you're going to lose it and be begging for people. We all know how that works. So I just wanted to make sure.
Right. And to be quite honest, we'll be ending the winter season before you know it.
Right.
All
the more reason to place an emphasis now with the sports leaders in the fall that just passed by to recommend the cadre of people now before it gets lost. So
yeah, absolutely.
I think Gary had his hand up.
Yeah, can you just clarify the submission for nominees is for which seasons?
Well, we're just starting with this particular, this fall. That started this past fall, 22.
So it's only, so submissions are only from sports that participated this past fall.
Well, and then we'll hit the winter and then hit the spring. So it'll be all of those. I mean, obviously, if you know somebody ahead, you can do that. But that's kind of where I think that's where we're headed.
But no summer of 22, spring of 22 submissions, correct?
Wait, I'm confused here now.
Yeah.
Well, this has gone back and forth, and I apologize for my confusion, but typically you're submitting champion of character nominations for the entire year, correct? Or am I missing something?
No, that's it's for the whole year. Where we got derailed somewhat was it was postponed. It was canceled.
Right.
And we're starting back up. So I guess that's a great question to ask, because this past year's fall sports, they've already passed the deadline. I mean, you got to reach back. The deadline was August 1st, right?
Well, the deadline is August 1st coming up. It's not the August 1st deadline.
Okay.
It's the August 1st coming up. And Gary, to be quite honest, and if I'm speaking out of turn, Karen, make sure you jump in so I don't, and is that if obviously there was somebody from the spring of 22 that missed out because we had it virtually and it was there and they missed out, I don't think anybody would be, if there's some deserving person, we certainly want to, nominate them if they are deserving of that award. I think you're just looking though at trying to hit the seasons of fall, winter, spring, and summer for what we're doing right now. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's going to be fall of 22, winter 22, 23, spring 23, summer 23.
That's
Or
correct.
where the nominees come from.
That's correct.
Okay,
Yes.
that's what I needed to know. That
Okay.
clarifies it. Thank you.
Okay, so to summarize, just to make sure we're clear, on October 17th of this year, we are recognizing individuals from the fall of 22, spring of 20, oh, wait a minute, yeah,
Winter.
winter of 23, right?
Yep.
And then summer.
And spring and summer, the
spring,
4
okay.
seasons, right?
Well, let me
Right.
ask you this, if we're recognizing this October for last fall, and the deadline is August 1st next year, then when does fall 23 get recognized?
Will they be recognized in the fall? They'd be
let's not-
recognized next year.
The following year.
You know,
Correct. They'd be recognized next
let's
year.
not overcomplicate.
Right. It's not that difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the fall season starts August 1st. So basically what we're doing is we're everybody from the seasonal year that's August 1st of 2022 through the end of July 2023 will be honored in October, this coming in October, in 7.5 months. Now, the one question, that's kind of the way we've kind of taken that approach before. The one question I had was, should we, since we had a gap in terms of presentations because of the way things went, I don't think we gave out Champions of Care. I know that we missed the event, but we didn't give out the award either, right?
Right.
So should we, this one time, allow the committee to review nominees that may have done something in that, what I'll call a gap year, in case there is somebody that stands out that may this one time mean that a given managed shield district or whatever may have more than their normal number of people because, for lack of a better way to say it, we're doing a COVID catch up.
I'm good either way. I mean,
I got 2 cents on it, Mike. I think because we recognize people, but we did it virtually. I think maybe what might be better is just because otherwise you're going to have a 6-hour meeting. If we try to recognize those people, perhaps an idea would be to have a easel that has those that were recognized. And if they want to come to the event, they can, but not be introduced, because otherwise you're going to have a 6-hour meeting. Yeah, I'm completely fine with that. I just wanted to make sure we had thought about it and made a decision rather than just forgotten about it and moved on. That's all.
Could we possibly take this back to the committee at this point for discussion?
We can. I just need the committee to be reloaded. The only ones that I know Susie is, and I think Mike is, but I'm not sure who else. So if you're interested in being on this committee to vote for these Champions of Care, can you just send Jason an email, and so we can reload that committee, and we'll convene the committee soon, like within the next week or 2. That's no problem.
And
This is
Marcia,
Barbara Howard.
I'm
I
so
had
sorry,
expressed
Marcia. Marcia has
interest.
had her hand up for the longest time. So sorry, Marcia.
No, that's fine. This will probably go back to the committee too, but Mark had mentioned until we get back on schedule. So is there going to be a change, or this is going back to be in the fall permanently, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. But there was a period of time that was not recognized. So we did have people who were recognized virtually, but wasn't there a season or a period of time where people could not even be nominated?
I think there
Question
was
for the committee, and if there is, I'll let the committee deal with that, but
Yeah, there was a period because it was originally supposed to be, I think, in March or something.
right.
And we couldn't get the date. So it's moved several.
Okay. I mean, it's very difficult, especially with youth, not so much with parents, but some there, to try to recognize people from too far back. But I would recommend that the committee consider anybody who's particularly deserving from so that would be spring and summer of 22.
Fall probably as well, I think.
No, fall's in this
spring and
one.
summer.
We have
Yeah.
fall in.
Okay, I'll let the committee deal with that. Thank you for the clarification.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Thank you for that, Mark. We're gonna let the committee handle these questions, then report at the next meeting. We're gonna move right along to the reports by the sports representatives. Jason, if you wanna kick that off.
Sure. It's baseball council, Rob.
Not much, obviously winter season. Gary and I are meeting next week again to talk further about Patriot Park North, and excited for that full facility to open. As Gary knows, SYA and some travel games on Sunday have been playing on the two smaller fields, but if you haven't been by, I would highly recommend to get out there and see it. They've done a great job with it. It's a beautiful facility. That's all I got.
Thanks, Rob. I don't think anyone for basketball. Fast pitch softball, Susie.
We had a softball council meeting Sunday, and it was nice. We had some new faces, representation. All of the organizations are reporting numbers are increasing, and the hit from COVID and so forth. They were all really encouraged and excited what was happening really throughout the entire community with the numbers of girls softball increasing. I gave them a little bit what we'd be talking about tonight, and obviously they were very pleased with that as well. So they were excited to be able to read the final report, but I gave them good little tidbits of what was happening. And also been meeting with the Park Authority, working through some things, how girls softball differs from baseball with the use of tournaments and things of that nature. So again, they've been very receptive with that as well. So again, a lot of positive movement happening for girls softball. And again, thank you all for your support.
Thank you. Football, Mark and Ted.
Off season, nothing to report.
Nobody from lacrosse or soccer, Lula and Trish.
Yes, we spoke about this last time, and I was thinking about years and years ago when I was with the monitoring the field, and we had the walk-on issue, and then we coined the walk-on issue cell phone leagues, and they were destroying the turf. So we move forward 20 some years, we've got turf field, or the natural turf. We got the synthetic turf, and the cell phone league is back in full force. We all know that we had that horrible issue over in Herndon. It's not gotten better. The cell phone league over there is just still as bad. But now, instead of destroying and vandalizing our natural grass fields, playing on when it's raining, now what they're doing is vandalizing the equipment. If there's not portable equipment out there for them to play on, then they are retaliating by either cutting the nets. A lot of them have found where the light switches are, so when they are chased off, they turn the lights off and then run down the hill. So Trish and I sent out a survey, and it's countywide. We're collecting all that information and then asking questions. And last meeting, Mark, you said when we get that information to be sure to let you know, and we will definitely do that. But it's an ongoing issue, but we will be contacting you to give you the results of the surveys and our discussion. So unfortunately, the vandalism has just gotten incredibly crazy after COVID. But other than that, we're in winter season. Everybody's playing futsal indoors. All good.
Lula, can I ask a question about that?
Sure.
Is this vandalism prevalent through other sports in all areas of the county? Are they seeing the same crime that you're describing right now, or is this isolated to just the soccer fields and folks in one area? Does it touch everywhere in the county? Because this really hadn't come up from anybody else, so I was just curious.
Yes,
and maybe your survey will help.
Yeah, so we did the survey at the last meeting, and that was part of our report. We've gotten pictures. To answer your question, it's through the soccer council, and it's we haven't heard that it's affecting any other type of equipment. Gary's got his thumbs up, but typically they're breaking the locks and they're knifing, cutting the nets. So the nets are not usable. But Gary, you have additional information?
I can tell you that in my organization, SYA, we've had lacrosse nets that have been cut. We've had locks busted. We have a snack bar at ECL where they tried to break in, and it's obvious it's not hoodlums, kids running around late at night doing this. It's the walk-ons that get PO'd when they get kicked off the field, and we have had situations where they turn off the lights on us as well. So yeah,
ridiculous. Yeah. So that's all for soccer.
No fights though. We used to have fights back in the day. Now we haven't seen any fights, or have not heard of any, at least. So that's a good thing, I guess.
Thanks, Lula. Volleyball, Anne Marie.
Yes, we're going to have a council meeting in mid to late February. The club season, tournament season is in progress, and we're still working with Bill Curran, trying to move forward with boys volleyball as a club sport in high school. That's about it.
That's it, Lula.
Okay, perfect. Moving right along, matters of interest. School board.
Good evening, everyone. A couple things. First, probably on top of many people's minds, is the announcement from our superintendent in the budget presentation that there was approximately $50,000 allocated in the Fairfax County, or proposed in the Fairfax County School Board budget for middle school sports. If you read deeper, you have to read into the details. It's very well defined actually there. To a degree, that is cross country in the fall and track in the spring at the middle school level. So still basically, I will be very frank with you, this was a late add-on. So I was not aware of this until the day before New Year's, until New Year's Eve. And then from there, we helped develop a budget, and Dr. Reed chose to include that in there. Keep in mind, the budget process is a long budget process. So whether it survives or not, I have no idea. But it's got a lot of popularity among our school board members. If you watch the budget presentation, every one of them endorsed this measure. Since this came to us at the timing that it did, there was very little meat on the bone. There's a lot of detail to work out. We're going to work with our middle school principals, our middle school after school program specialists, and others to work out some of the details. I can tell you the straw man that we put together as far as use, you're probably on top of everyone's mind, is what does this do to us? Cross country will run on their home sites on the middle schools. Practices will be run on the middle school properties under the regular after school timeframes. That is the original plan that we have up now. Very similar to what I've talked to this group about many times with the pilot that we're running. So the impact will be pretty minimal. Actual track meets in the spring. There will be 4 per school. So they'll be broken up into rotating places where you take 26 schools. It doesn't completely fit, but comes pretty close. We'll work it out. That there'll be 4 meets actually per school. We'll use the high school tracks. We'll do that on Saturday mornings during school time. So there's still a lot of detail to work out with the high schools to manage those pieces, and details to work out as far as finding coaches and reporting. And there is a lot of work to do on this, but we have started to draw the straw man. I'll keep this body monthly updated with regards to what we have, but understand that is the basis of what we have regarding middle school sports. It does not include anything beyond spring or fall cross country and spring track. And it's not track and field, it's track. Well, there is shot put, so I guess you can say field, but we're not throwing discuses. We're not having middle schools throw discs, middle schoolers yet. We are not doing high jumps. We're not doing pole vaults for sure. We're not doing high jumps because we don't have the mats at the middle schools. So that's what I have on that front. If I'm going to pause there for questions, I figure that may be an area most people want to talk about.
So question, you just said there would be 4 meets at different schools or 4 for the whole spring? And is it 26 schools at each of those meets?
Each school will have 4 meets. So their schedule. So if you're at Luther Jackson Middle School, you have 4 meets in the spring that you'll compete, so to speak, against other schools in. And those 4 schools will rotate the host each weekend. And we'll work that out across the county. We have not built that schedule, but obviously 4 into 26 is what it is. So we have some working out to do on the details, but it is not 4 countywide meets with all 26 middle schools coming in the door. That obviously would be if you've ever been to a track meet, that takes an awful lot of logistics when there's 3 meets. So it's a little bit different. So we're working on the details, and even the event list is not fully settled yet on exactly what events they'll run. But as we continue to partner, that's where we'll go.
Thank
Lula? Lula?
Excuse me? Yes?
Yes, Mark. I believe the council would benefit by appointing a knowledgeable subcommittee to stay with this jointly with the schools, us, and the user groups. Although this is in the beginning and it's not been approved, the potential could really impact a great deal throughout the county. I think it only behooves us to stay lockstep with this and discuss it and offer our input, because this came up, through the years again, and we're dealing with a lot of new folks. So I believe we ought to be on top of this lockstep. We have everything to gain and a lot potential impact there. So that's my 2 cents on this. Bill is a resource. He can't really take the lead on this. He works for the folks that are proposing this. He can't really do that, but his knowledge is going to be good. But a knowledgeable group, a subcommittee to stay with this would pay dividends, I believe, as long as this is on the agenda for everybody, not our agenda.
So with that said, what are the 2 sports? You said track.
It's track. So it's
Track
cross
and
country
cross-country.
and track. And so
Track.
cross country in the fall and track. But to Mark's point, I can tell you in conversations with my superintendent that she's an advocate for growth of middle school sports in general. The budgets are not going to be good. So this is always going to be a balance for the next couple of years, at least foreseeable years. That said, if this is going to be something that grows out, to Mark's point, I need to collaborate closely with this group. I can't collaborate with the 40 or 50 people that make up this body as a collective. I need a subcommittee would benefit me. So I'm going to speak to my own needs on this one, to make this work within the frameworks that we have here of things that go beyond track. It's going to be very valuable to have that laid out clearly and to have strong collaboration with the athletic council. So we are able to avoid scenarios where we're impacting or significantly impacting our user groups and our community groups that are offering these programs. And so that's going to be a very important position. I will also openly share with you, this isn't going to be a short-term thing. This is one budget. Next budget, there may be a couple more. It's likely next budget's my last budget. So the next person is going to need the resources of this council to really support them. So I'm not announcing don't send me out the door just yet, but I probably only got 1 or 2 budget cycles left in me before I'll ride off into the sunset. So I think it's best for this group to have, it would be very helpful for this group to have that to support the school system and do this right.
Based on the athletic council's experience, if this is a success, whether it's a pilot or whether it continues. What's outside is going to go inside. And then you better measure the impact, because it's not all going to stay outside the school. Why not? Why not's going to come in. So there is where it touches every geographical area and township here. So being very knowledgeable in this, along with the school board, who's not knowledgeable in this, would only reap benefits. So we ought to seriously consider a strategy on this.
Can I just a suggestion? And I don't disagree about the idea of creating a committee and stuff like that. But to Bill Curran's point, not only do we need to be a resource for Bill in that way, but Bill, I don't know what advisory group exists at the school level now. So I think that it would be important. Yeah, a committee from the athletic council is good, but perhaps getting one or two people from the athletic council onto that working group or advisory committee or whatever it is the schools are doing, I think is equally important to make this work. In part because of what you just said about your future, it would be important that it's harder for them to kick people from the athletic council out once you're gone than figure out then that we have a communication problem like the one Gary's been dealing with.
Certainly open to it. We haven't gone that far at this point, but certainly open to it.
Gary, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. I would just echo what Mark, me, and Mike just said. And Mike and I have both talked to Bill, and I've openly discussed some concerns with this, but it's run the gamut before, and it sounds like this is going to go forward. So I think whether it's taking a couple people to be on an advisory committee to help with that process and report back to the council, or creating a subcommittee, one or the other, I think is good. But I would certainly volunteer my time to participate with that as well.
Okay, thank you. I will
Or
take that.
both. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be both.
Sure.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mike. What did you say?
I'm saying I was not suggesting it should be one or the other. I think it can be both. In other words, we can have a committee that stays up to date and thinks about it and talks to the folks on the council and it's the sounding board that Bill needs. But maybe from that committee, one or two people from that committee are then on whatever the school working groups, however that develops. I think there needs to be an inside-outside strategy. We ought to have people inside, not just people outside. So we should do both.
Okay. What I'd like to do is, Bill, if I can get with you at another time to sort of talk to you about this, and then to see what would work for us, and then I'll propose it to the through the council, whether we go with both an advisory or subcommittee. But if I could meet with you first, then it'd give me a better understanding of what we need to do to move forward.
Lula, let me chime in on that. We got to be very careful of putting him in a bad position. Okay.
Understood.
Over advising. He's working for the person that's proposing this.
I understand.
So, okay. I just want to make sure we understand that.
Yeah, I get it, Mark. I totally understand, for sure. But I just don't want to move forward with it right now and ask for volunteers right now. I just want to process this and then get back with the council. It does not look by the looks of your faces, you would rather settle that right now. Did you guys want to put these two committees together?
What
right
I said
now?
was the council needs to seriously consider this. Don't get shook up by committee, subcommittee, advisory committee. Figure out the strategy and what it will take to adequately keep up with this.
Absolutely.
Knowledge,
Yes.
experience, availability. Again, it can only work to our user community who we represent best. So figure that piece out. That's fine. We just don't want to put Bill in a bad position. He can't advise us. He can just inform us.
Yeah.
Correct. And yes. And if I gave you any indication that I'm looking to him for advice, that was certainly not the case. So just give me some time to sort this out.
I think we're splitting hairs. The process is done in effect for this budget cycle. It's been proposed. I think we have time for Lula, you to talk to some folks and do some things. Bill has made some suggestions on how we can be most helpful to him in this process, including liking the committee and open to some other ideas. I think we are where we are, and we know that over the next couple of meetings we can figure it out. I don't think we have to do anything right now.
Exactly. Yes. I that's exactly what I was trying to say.
Good. You have my full support on that. Absolutely. If I misrepresented anything, take the ball and run with it. It makes sense.
Thank you so much.
It all makes sense.
And
Go with it.
and also,
I'm just glad the old Mark Martino is back. Life is good.
Yeah. And just
Mark
so you know, I feel I've been on this council. I can't even tell you.
I'm sorry, Mark
years.
Miena. Mark Miena. I apologize. The old Mark Miena is back.
I've been on this council for many, many years. I've known all of you for so many years, and I think getting the right fit is super, super important. And I think that's where I would like to go, and to ask for those to serve on whatever committee we move forward with. So, thank you, Bill.
Just a couple of other quick items. One, we are halfway through the winter season at this point. It's coming to an end fast as we head to our postseason with swim, and then it will tumble all pretty quickly. Knock on wood, weather's been our friend, but we'll see how that's never plays out quietly. It seems at some point it rears its head. So we'll see how things work. But the winter season is wrapping up. I did want to share with you a couple of pieces of legislation that were introduced this morning down in during the legislative session in Richmond, at least one that I think is important for this group to pay attention to. There's legislation that was introduced and to require all athletic facilities to be equipped with an AED unit. Obviously indoors, all our schools are equipped with multiple units. My office is actually the responsible office for the Fairfax County Public School AED program, the entirety. So we're responsible for all 690 AEDs that are out there. We have John Reynolds and a couple of other people who monitor that. We have a contract on a maintenance program. We have all sorts of pieces to that run really well. But obviously in response to the DeMar Hamlin injury, the Bills player who was injured, there's been a heightened awareness. That injury, extremely rare. It happened in ice hockey with the same response just 2 years ago. It happened in soccer 7 years ago in European soccer in championship series or one of those high level series pieces. So it does happen. Doesn't mean we don't want to be prepared. I can tell you we reviewed this with our athletic trainers, and our response would have been very much the same that you saw on TV that night. They all carry hip AED units that they carry with them. They are at all games, particularly all contact events and things like that. So our response would have been pretty much the same, with the exception we would have called an ambulance in most cases, and our response times on ambulances tend to be about 4 to 5 minutes to our schools. So it would have followed pretty much the same sort of protocols, and all our coaches are trained in sports first aid. The impact of that bill, though, comes down to not only FCPS sports facilities, particularly the outdoor facilities. That also goes to Park Authority and any of the other facilities that are out there. The issue with externally mounted AED units is there are none that can withstand the weather and stay viable. They can't withstand changes in temperature. The batteries are too sensitive. And that's why we have we have portable ones that are charged every night and stay with our athletic trainers, and they do not stay outdoors in any way, shape, or form. They carry them with them. I don't know how far that bill is going to go, but should it pass and go into statute in Virginia, that creates some things that are going to need to be considered for the park authority, the school system, and how we achieve that piece. We have looked for years on how to achieve it, and without building it a little kind of its own portal that has got electric run to it that provides air conditioning and heat to it. And they do have units. The only unit that's even viable with that, with its own portal, to ensure that it doesn't get vandalized or walk away or is there for when we need it. It has an immediate 911 function when you open the door. It calls 911 and they respond to that site. That's the only one that would even be, I think, viable for us in Fairfax County. This is an awareness piece. It just got introduced this morning, hasn't even gone through committee yet, but it's something to consider. We're looking at doing an assessment on our side, and we've already done that because we would like to do that and have units outdoors and at our outdoor facilities. It's just they have to be usable. We don't want a unit there that provides a false sense of security, that it sits there and someone goes to use it, in the winter, late spring, some whatever, and it doesn't work. That's much worse than anything else. So just a piece of awareness. I'll keep you updated. You can find this yourself, both on the FCPS website. If you look under legislative initiatives, our lobbyist, Michael Malloy, keeps a running tally under, and he keeps it categorized, and that falls under student health and wellness. And you can find it there, or you can find it on the state government's website as well on recent bills introduced. So just wanted to share that with you, and then we're keeping an eye on it.
Thank you. Any questions? All right, let's move right along to Park Authority.
Good evening, everybody. And happy holidays, happy new year for anybody that I didn't have a chance to say that to previously. And since we all missed the December meeting, which I'm kind of glad we did, had plenty to do myself. But I know Jason's looking to bring it up. I'll try to speak from memory. Is we haven't had many things added to the list, but I did want to give an update on Patriot Park North. It's probably a little bit more than 95% complete. All fields are open at this point. The light testing is still going on a couple of the fields. We unfortunately are not able to open any of the buildings yet, as they have not been fully permitted. And working through issues with them to get those fully permitted, hopefully sooner rather than later. And then if you visited the site, you can see that the typical kind of substantial completion work is being completed around the site to kind of capture any items that needed to be cleaned up before the site is turned over to the staff. But bottom line is it's right around the corner from fully opening, and it looks really, really nice. If you haven't had a chance to visit it, as Rob mentioned, I would suggest you do that. It's a nice facility. We were able to finally complete a couple fencing projects out at Langley Forks and Lewinsville, with a couple of the fields out there where the fencing was old standard or it was in bad condition. Winterset Varsity, as I last checked, is still moving right along with the on-site completion of some of the upgrades for the facility that the field is adjacent to. The facility serves the police. And as a result of those improvements, they are providing us a water tap and electrical tap so that we can tie in irrigation system, which we hope to improve the field with in about a year when it does fully open. And then just a reminder on a couple irrigation projects that are going to be going on this spring. Should not affect play, and we hope the fields, and we expect the fields to open on time, but that is going on at Cunningham and South Run District fields. Lewinsville fields 2 and 3 are scheduled for synthetic turf replacement this summer and fall. And then have not heard an exact date, but did recently see some plans for the field at Scott's Run that will be a synthetic field, and as it shows there, will be lit and the approximate dimensions as shown. So about approximately a medium-sized field. And that is all I have to report this month, and let me know if there's any questions.
Any
Yeah.
questions?
Lula, I would
Yes.
add on the Park Authority side, I would add, since it started, the public hearing on it started 20 minutes ago. The annual fee package for the Park Authority is out. And despite some rumors that were floating around, the Park Authority has not proposed in that package any fees or new taxes or new whatever people were trying to say on any of the community use fields in the county. That the fee that exists now is not a Park Authority fee; it's a county fee administered through NCS. But I can assure you that there's nothing in that package that increases fees on community use for any of the Park Authority fields or anything like that.
Thank you. Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that.
Let me follow up on that. I was going to bring it up in new business, but I found out about the expected park fees through the Sun Gazette that were stacked up in my mailbox. They address 500 fees, and you're right, most of them are facility around. But what I think the Athletic Council should have, since they're doing this annually in smaller chunks versus every few years, a big increase in all that, I believe we should have a presentation by the Park Authority. It can be 10 minutes, it can be an hour, on just what fees are affected and why, because I think we become, would you get bent out of shape, Mike, and shut the lights off? Oh.
I have a green
I think
office
the council will become,
I've been listening to you.
I think the council will become much more educated, and we can tell our constituents about this too. I think people ask me about it, and I didn't know anything about it unless I read the Sun Gazette here, and it went through the generalization and the increase in wages, 1.8 million, so on and so forth. But we should have this as a standard agenda item whenever that comes out, so we hear it, understand it, weigh in on it, and can say that we weighed in on it and have some input on it, because I think it's important. So
I am sure that I'm sure the Park Authority will be happy to make a presentation. I would point out that
I don't want Dan to do it. I don't want him to do it. He's done it before.
I am sure that just as the council would probably benefit from general knowledge of anything going on with the county's overall budget and everything else. But I would say that we should probably have some discussion about focus, because none of those fees that are proposed have any direct impact in terms of athletic council activity. So I don't
Mike,
know
you know that. I don't know that. That's my point. And I don't think
thank you, Mark. Mark, I appreciate what you're saying. I am just pointing out that we should have an ongoing conversation to figure out how we should focus it, because I don't know that the Athletic Council's time is best served hearing about increases on fees at historic properties for wedding receptions or things like that. And that we would probably, just as I am sure every member of the council would benefit from a presentation from the county on general items in the overall budget, or anything else. I'm just saying that there would need to be some direction to understand it. But this is not, I would point out that this is not something that has been done every few years. This is literally a public process with public hearing that is noticed and put out to the county as a whole, as with every county public hearing, for everybody to give feedback. That public hearing started 25 minutes ago. I stayed on in this council meeting instead of jumping into that public hearing. But that if there's
Mike, I don't want to drag this out, and I understand what you're saying. It's process I'm talking about. And yes, I'm reading the whole thing. There is the public had a chance to address this tonight. I certainly couldn't let anybody in our league know about that because I didn't know about it. Okay. Volleyball is addressed here, volleyball facilities. If I'm a volleyball rep, I'd want to know, hey, It's for outside user groups, inside, I don't know, but my point is very simple. If it's a budgetary item, we should have a chance at the appropriate time to weigh in when it comes out and decide if it has any impact, if at all, and then move on. I think we're much better as representatives of the people when we know that. That's all, not nitpicking, but there's 500 fees involved in this article. I don't know which is which, and I don't really want to get into the nitpicking of it. But if I guarantee if they're going to raise the user fee, we'd be involved. Okay.
Oh, but that's my point, Mark, is that the user fee, for those people out there that are saying that the park authority is trying to increase the user fee, I'm noting that the park authority doesn't even make that decision.
Okay, but my whole point is it's facilities of the park authority. We're representatives of sports, all of them, major, minor, this one, and we get questions, and justifiably so, for the residents. So we can intelligently talk about it. Hey, we went over this, really no impact to the general user community, off we go. That's all.
And so I would
I'm not going to say anything more of it.
I would reassert what I said before about we would just need some idea of how to focus said presentation.
Good point. I'm going to, Gary, did you just put your hand down?
I did, thank you.
You did. Everything's clear? Perfect. All right. Thank you for bringing that up. We're going to move right along for new business. Anybody have new business? I'm so sorry. Park Authority, were you finished?
Yes, Lula.
Well,
I
think we're
I think
finished,
we're
but I'm sure NCS would like me to make a presentation.
Nah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
NCSS, Mark, Karen.
Yeah, I have a.
I don't have anything. I can tell you that NCS is not increasing the app fee, but I'll let Lloyd verify that. I'll let Lloyd speak, and then I think after he says whatever he wants, then Mark has a quick announcement. That's all.
Yeah, the only thing I wanted to talk about was just to announce that well, two things. Number one, thanks for bringing up the point about a committee to work with the schools or to make sure that we're staying updated with what's going on. So I appreciate that being suggested. The other piece is I did want to mention that Keisha Dotson was recently promoted. I'm not sure. Well, I guess we didn't have a meeting in December, so I'm not sure if that was sent out to you all, but she's one of our deputy directors now for the agency. As you all know, we've grown exponentially over the last 3 years, and now we've included adult day health centers as well as parts of our Office for Strategy Management. And of course, back in fiscal year 2019, we added Office for Children, which houses SAC and Head Start and multiple school readiness facets of support for early childhood education. So just wanted to congratulate her. I know she's not on today, but did want to let you all know that a process will be advertised, or her position will be advertised within the next 2 weeks. So just wanted to share that with you all as far as Keisha's progression in the county. I didn't have anything else as far as the fee, Karen. You know what? I need to check back in and just make sure that I confirm with the right information, but I don't have anything else to report or update.
Okay, thank you. Mark?
Okay, just a couple of things from Marge. First of all, obviously we're in the middle of the winter season, so gyms are rolling, and outside use on the turf fields is going. We're making adjustments and things like that. The biggest thing I want to let you know is that we have set up, and you will get information out on this, a general user meeting with Fairfax County Park Authority, Fairfax County Public Schools, NCS, on February the 22nd has been the date that we have. It's going to be a virtual meeting. It's going to be a virtual meeting like this. We'll send out an invite where each one of the entities will go over the process and requirements and rules for gym and for field users. So each one of those groups, we had a meeting earlier this week. Each one of the groups is going to put together a few slides to go over questions. It could be about maintenance, could be about school security, could be about our scheduling process. So that it's the meeting kind of that we used to do at Luther Jackson. We did it where we got together all the groups and stuff like that. It's obviously it slipped away from us. COVID had a lot to do with it, but more it's just we want to get back to that. So that meeting will be, we wanted to do it real close to when the spring season started. So it was, hey, here's our information. Let's get it out. Season starts. So February 22nd, 7 o'clock, it'll be a virtual meeting. Within the next week, we're going to get the PowerPoints, review them. It'll be ready to go. In the next week or two, we will have the invite sent out to all of the groups so that you'll be able to get representatives there and stuff like that. And our goal is to have this be a general meeting about process. Obviously, there'll be questions like, well, when I was at this school, this happened, or when I was at this field, we're going to try to curb those to let people ask us directly. It's more of the general meeting and process rules and regulations. So that's coming up February 22nd.
Very good. Thank you. Boy, we are a busy group for sure. Now, moving right along to new business. Is there any new business? No? Old business?
Move to adjourn.
I was gonna say drum roll, please. Do we have a second?
Second, Greg Beckwith, Drainsville.
Any objections? So moved. Thank you, everybody. See you next month.